السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد. Brothers and sisters, حياكم الله وبياكم. مرحبا بكم. We will continue inshallah ta'ala our discussion on the Tafseer of Surah As-Sajdah. And I believe we stopped last week at the Ayat As-Sajdah, the ayah that usually is associated with the prostration. But as you should know from the statements of the scholars, it is not obligatory that you perform the sajdah, neither when you recite in the Quran on your own, nor in salah. The concept of the Sujood at-tilawa is one wherein you may or may not perform the sujood. So if we recite the ayah right now, don't wonder, why have I not gotten up from my place and made sujood, thinking that I'm dismissing or ignoring this particular ruling in Islam. So, أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. إنما يؤمن بآياتنا الذين إذا ذكروا بها خروا سجدا وسبحوا بحمد ربهم وهم لا يستكبرون. تتجافى جنوبهم عن المضاجع يدعون ربهم خوفا وطمعا ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. فلا تعلم نفس ما أخفي لهم من قرة أعين جزاء بما كانوا يعملون. Only those who believe in our verses, who when they are reminded by them fall down in prostration and exalt Allah with praise of their Lord, and they are not arrogant. Their sides part from beds, they supplicate their Lord in fear and aspiration, and from what we have provided them they spend. And no soul knows what has been hidden for them of comfort for eyes as reward for what they used to do. The Shaykh rahmatullahi alayhi says, لما ذكر الكافرين بآياته وما أعد لهم من العذاب. After Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned the disbelievers in these ayat and what He has prepared for them of a punishment, ذكر المؤمنين بما وصفهم وما أعد لهم من الثواب. Allah Azza wa Jal then He mentioned the believers with their descriptions and their traits and their characteristics and their qualities and what He prepared for them of reward. وهم الذين فقال إنما يؤمن بآياتنا أي إيمانا حقيقيا من يوجد منه شواهد الإيمان. So the one who believe in our ayat, those that the real iman that is substantiated with the evidences of faith. Who are they? وهم, and they are الذين إذا ذكروا بآيات ربهم, those who when they are reminded of the verses of their Lords or the signs of their Lords, فتليت عليهم آيات القرآن. So for instance, the ayat of the Quran were recited upon them. وأتتهم النصائح على أيدي رسل الله, and the advice was delivered to them through the hands of the messengers of Allah. وَدُعُوا إِلَى التَّذَكُّرِ, and they were invited to reflect and remember. سَمِعُوهَا فَقَبِلُوهَا وَانْقَادُوا, they will listen to it, they will accept it, and they will comply. وَخَرُّوا سُجَّدًا أي خاضعين لها خضوع ذكر لله وفرح بمعرفته. They will submit to it, they will submit the submission of the one who remembers Allah and is happy to know Him. وَسَبَّحُوا بِحَمْدِ رَبِّهِمْ وَهُمْ لَا يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ, لا بقلوبهم ولا بأبدانهم فيمتنعون من الانقياد لها. So they praise they glorify the praise of their Lord, and they're not arrogant. The Shaykh said they're not arrogant from neither in their hearts nor in their bodies. So that prevents them from complying and submitting to the ayat of Allah. بل متواضعون لها. Rather, they are humble before those ayat of Allah. قد تلقوها بالقبول والتسليم وقابلوها بالانشراح والتسليم. They have received it with acceptance and submission, and they reciprocated that with inshirah. Inshirah is like acceptance and being open-chested to the truth and compliance. وتوصلوا بها إلى مرضاة الرب الرحيم. And they use that as means to acquire the pleasure of the most merciful Lord. واهتدوا بها إلى الصراط المستقيم. And they used it thereof to be guided to the straight path. تتجافى جنوبهم عن المضاجع أي ترتفع جنوبهم أن تنزعج عن مضاجعها اللذيذة إلى ما هو ألذ عندهم منه وأحب إليهم. So their sides rise and is disturbed by the madaji' ladhida. Now it's interesting, it's saying that beds, madja' is where you rest. And we all know that humans, some more than others, find great pleasure in sleeping. They find great pleasure in resting. So it's like delicious. So the madja', the place of resting, the place of sleeping, is being described as being delicious because it's something you could almost taste its sweetness. Yet in spite of them loving sleep, they are bothered by remaining asleep when it conflicts with the salah that Allah Azza wa Jal has prescribed. So they are getting up from their comfortable beds to that which is even sweeter to them than their beds and more beloved to them than their beds. وَهُوَ الصَّلَاةُ فِي اللَّيْلِ وَمُنَاجَاةِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. And that would be the night prayer and supplicating to Allah. We ask Allah to forgive us for our shortcomings. Right now, we are living in a time where we're not even discussing the Qiyamul Layl with Tahajjud. We're not even discussing the voluntary prayer and the night prayer. Forget about that. And I don't mean forget about that in the negative sense, meaning let's not discuss that right now. We're talking about people not even getting up for Fajr. People missing the obligatory Fajr prayer because of how delicious the bed feels. So their beds are more beloved to them than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And their beds are more beloved to them than supplicate unto Allah. Because not only is Allah here describing the people that are willing to leave the comfort of their bed to pray at night, volunteer prayers. We're not even discussing that. These are the ones Allah is referring to. Those are the true believers. And so what does that make someone who's not willing to do that for a voluntary prayer? Then what kind of believer is that? What kind of believer is that? And we made a clip in the past about this, and some people can't reason with this situation. They're saying you're being extreme by saying, every few months or every 6 months it's okay to miss Fajr once. No, I'm not being extreme. And I was not referring to situations where you have some unusual circumstance. You came back from travel, you arrived home at 3 in the morning, you're exhausted, you set up the alarm, you went to bed and you couldn't hear nothing. At the time of Fajr, you could not hear no alarm. Khalas, qaddar Allah ma sha fa'al. This is, how often does this happen? I was talking about people that don't have any excuse. They have alarms, they have means, they hear the alarm, they just don't wake up in spite of them having slept good 3-4 hours at night. There's no excuse. If you've had 3 to 4 hours, not even 2 hours of sleep at night, you have enough sleep for you to be able to get up and pray Fajr. Let alone people that sleep 6 hours and 7 hours and they still don't get up for Fajr. But people are oblivious. People are oblivious to their condition. They are oblivious to their state. They think this is norm, this is okay, this is alright, this is a sign of a proper believer. No, I'm sorry, none of them. We should all accuse our iman of being lousy, of being irrelevant, of being barely hanging from a thread, if this is our condition with Salatul Fajr, where the beds are more beloved to us than getting up and praying for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, عفوا. ولهذا قال يدعون ربهم أي في جلب مصالحهم الدينية والدنيوية ودفع مضارهما. They call on their Lord and bringing about their worldly benefits, their religious benefits and their worldly benefits, and to alleviate and remove and deter their harms, both the deen and the dunya. خوفا وطمعا أي جامعين بين الوصفين. And they do so in the state of khawfan wa tama'an. So they do it out of fear of Allah and out of hope in what Allah Azza wa Jal has. Fear and aspiration. So the Shaykh said they're combining both traits. Khawfan an turadda a'maluhum. So they're afraid that their deeds will be rejected. Wa tama'an fi qabuliha. And they are aspired of the acceptance of their deeds. They're aspired in the acceptance of their deeds. So they're afraid Allah did not accept from me, yet they're looking forward and aspiring and hoping and praying that Allah Azza wa Jal accepts. And that, my brothers and sisters, is the true state of the believer. Never feel too confident that you're alright. And never despair from the mercy of Allah because you're not alright. I will repeat. Never feel comfortable that you are right. Never feel too comfortable that you are right. And never lose or despair in Allah's mercy because you're not alright. خوفا من عذاب الله وطمعا في ثوابه. Out of fear of the punishment of Allah and out of hope in His reward. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ مِنَ الرِّزْقِ قَلِيلًا أَوْ كَثِيرًا. And whatever we have provided them, the Shaykh said, whether it is little or much, يُنْفِقُونَ, they spend. وَلَمْ يَذْكُرْ قَيْدِ النَّفَقَةِ وَلَا الْمُنْفَقْ عَلَيْهِ. And Allah did not mention the type of spending, nor did He mention the spending is happening to who, meaning upon whom are you spending. It didn't mention. لِيَدُلَّ عَلَى الْعُمُومِ, so that it could denote generality, encompassment. فَإِنَّهُ يَدْخُلُ فِيهِ النَّفَقَ الْوَاجِبَ. So included in that is the obligatory spending, كَالزَّكَوَاتِ وَالْكَفَّارَاتِ وَنَفَقَةِ الزَّوْجَاتِ وَالْأَقَارِبِ, such as paying your zakah and the expiations and the spending on the wives and the relatives. Spending on your wife, if one, wives, if many, and children. All of that is included, that Allah Azza wa Jal is mentioning that those who fear Allah, they spend. وَالنَّفَقَ الْمُسْتَحَبَّ فِي وُجُوهِ الْخَيْرِ. And the recommended spending in all aspects of good. Yani not the zakah or the obligatory, now the voluntary. والنفق والإحسان المالي خير مطلقا سواء وافق فقيرا أو غنيا قريبا أو بعيدا ولكن الأجر يتفاوت بتفاوت النفع فهذا عملهم. So the Shaykh said spending and financial excellence and spending is ultimately good. Be it the person spending is poor or rich, or whether the person is near or far. However, the reward varies proportional to the variation of the benefit. The reward varies proportional to the value of the benefit. So, spending on certain people is more rewarding than others because it benefited them a certain way. Spending on a relative is more rewarding because you're combining helping a poor person and silatul rahim and keeping the kinship ties. So even though it's all good when you spend, spending is not equal. spending is not equal. There's a variation, and some are better and more rewarding than others. فهذا عملهم, this is their deed, this is their condition. وأما جزاؤهم, as for their compensation, فقال فلا تعلم نفس يدخل فيه جميع نفوس الخلق. So no soul knows, the Shaykh said that includes all the souls of the creation, لكونه نكرة في سياق النفي, because it is an indefinite term in the context of negation. أي فلا يعلم أحد, so no one knows ما أخفي لهم من قرة أعين, what has been hidden for them of comfort for eyes. من الخير الكثير والنعيم الغزير والفرح والسرور واللذة والحبور. أي. From the abundance of excellence and a lot of bounties and happiness and joy and pleasure and all that. كما قال تعالى على لسان رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم, as Allah Azza wa Jal said on the tongue of His Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, أعددت لعبادي الصالحين ما لا عين رأت, I have prepared for my righteous slaves ما لا عين رأت, what no eye has ever seen, ولا أذن سمعت, and no ear has ever heard, ولا خطر على قلب بشر, and that which has never come across a human's heart, i.e. mind, as we explained in the Arba'in al-Nawawiyya last week, that according to us, the thinking happens in the thinking and the reflection, all that happens in the heart. The mind, the brain might be involved or is involved in the process. جَازَاهُمْ مِنْ جِنْسِ عَمَلِهِمْ, Allah compensated them equally. فَأَخْفَى أَجْرَهُمْ, so Allah kept their reward hidden. وَلِهَذَا قَالَ, that's what Allah said, جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, as a reward for what they used to do. طيب. أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون أما الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم جنات المأوى نزلا بما كانوا يعملون وأما الذين فسقوا فمأواهم النار كلما أرادوا أن يخرجوا منها أعيدوا فيها كلما أرادوا أن يخرجوا منها أعيدوا فيها وقيل لهم ذوقوا عذاب النار الذي كنتم به تكذبون. But as for those who defiantly disobeyed, oh no. So this is the one. So then is the one who was a believer like one who was defiantly disobedient? They are not equal. As for those who believed and did righteous deeds, for them will be the gardens of refuge as accommodation for what they used to do. But as for those who defiantly disobeyed, their refuge is the fire. Every time they wish to emerge from it, they will be returned to it while it's said to them, taste the punishment of the fire which you used to deny. نسأل الله العافية. ينبه تعالى العقول على ما تقرر فيها من عدم تساوي المتفاوتين المتباينين. Allah brings to our attention, Allah brings to the attention of the minds of the people that which is already established about the lack of equality between unequal things. The lack of similarity or equality between contrasts. وأن حكمته تقتضي عدم تساويهما, and that Allah's wisdom entails that they're not to be treated the same. فقال أفمن كان مؤمنا قد عمر قلبه بالإيمان. So is the one who's a believer, his heart is filled with iman. وانقادت جوارحه لشرائعه, and his limbs have complied with the legislation of Allah. واقتضى إيمانه آثاره وموجباته من ترك مساخط الله التي يضر وجودها بالإيمان. and his iman necessitated that the person abandons that which brings about Allah's anger, which harms the existence of faith. This person is the same as كَمَنْ كَانَ فَاسِقًا, like the one who's defiantly disobedient. قَدْ خَرَبَ قَلْبُهُ وَتَعَطَّلَ مِنَ الْإِيمَانِ, his heart has become corrupt and it is void of iman. فَلَمْ يَكُنْ فِيهِ وَازِعٌ دِينِي, so he doesn't have any religiosity. فأسرعت جوارحه بموجبات الجهل والظلم في كل إثم ومعصية. So his limbs are hasty and hastening towards the things that bring about ignorance and oppression. في كل إثم ومعصية, in regards to every violation and sin. وخرج بفسقه عن طاعة ربي, and he has abandoned the obedience of his Lord with this defiance of his. أفيستوي هذان الشخصان, are these two people equal? لا يستوون, they're not equal. عقلا وشرعا, they're not equal, neither logically, neither intellectually, nor legislatively. كما لا يستوي الليل والنهار والضياء والظلمة وكذلك لا يستوي ثوابهما في الآخرة. Just like the night and the day and the bright and the darkness are not equal. And similarly, the reward in the hereafter will also not be equal. أما الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات من فروض ونوافل. So as for those who believed in the righteous deeds of the obligatory and the voluntary, فلهم جنات المأوى أي الجنات التي هي مأوى اللذات. So they will have the gardens which is the abode of pleasures. ومعدن الخيرات, and the abode of goodness. ومحل الأفراح, and it's also the residence of happiness. ونعيم القلوب والنفوس والأرواح, and the pleasure of the hearts and the souls and the souls and the self and the souls. ومحل الخلود, and it is a place of eternity. وجوار الملك المعبود, and the nearness to the worshipped king. والتمتع بقربه والنظر إلى وجهه وسماع خطابه, and being pleasured with nearness to Allah and gazing at his face and hearing his speech. And yes, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah believe that the believers will see Allah Azza wa Jal in Jannah, whereas the Jahmiyyah and the Asha'ira, they are forced to deny all of the clear-cut textual evidences in the Quran and the Sunnah because of their tashbih they fell into, which forced them to do ta'til. So they say you cannot say Allah has a jism, because if you say that we're going to look at Allah, that means Allah is mahdud bi makan, is restricted to a place, and he has a face and he has a body, and then now you're likening Allah to his creation, and they go all over the place waffling and pancaking and hash browning and baconing and chickening and all that stuff. They bring all the breakfast in the world, try to waffle their way just to explain, and say, dude, just shut up, man. You denier of the Quran and the Sunnah, pathetic claimant of following the Sahaba. All of these Maturidis and Ash'aris and Jahmis are absolutely sad creatures, because they are forced to deny and misinterpret hundreds and thousands of ayat and ahadith in order to justify their Platonic, Aristotelian, philosophical belief and principles and ideology that are completely foreign to Islam. And then they say, hey, we are Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. We are with the Atharis. You could be an Athari, you could be an Ash'ari, you could be a Maturidi. عادي عادي حبيبي, خذ راحتك. سوي اللي تبي تكون أشعري عادي. أهل السنة والجماعة, أهل السنة والجماعة إيش يا بابا؟ أي أهل السنة والجماعة, you have nothing to, you are the reason why there's something called أهل السنة والجماعة, because you are not of them. The reason why this even have to be made is because you disqualified from belonging in the first place. وجوه يومئذ ناظرة إلى ربها ناظرة. Faces on that day illuminating, gazing at their Lord, looking at their Lord. Isn't Allah, according to you, going to be restricted to a direction or to a place? And that Allah has, according to you, a body because He will be seen? Try to now waffle your way out of all of this by negating what's confirmed, confirming what's negated, and play around with the deen of Allah for as long as you can. But you shall see who was upon the proper belief and who was playing games. And we already know who is, because you don't have anyone from the Sahaba helping you in this nonsense of yours. Rather the opposite. نزلا لهم أي ضيافة وإيش وقرة. So nuzulan, it's basically them, an azil is like when you go to a hotel and you're a tenant in this place. You're like a guest, basically. You're a guest. There you go. So you're being basically honored and treated as a guest in these places. بما كانوا يعملون, because of what they used to do. فأعمالهم التي تفضل الله بها عليهم هي التي أوصلتهم لتلك المنازل الغالية العالية. The deeds which Allah Azza wa Jal has bestowed His favors upon them by letting them engage in are the reason that allowed them to reach those lofty and expensive abodes. التي لا يمكن التوصل إليها إلا ببذل الأموال. التي لا يمكن التوصل إليها ببذل الأموال. The one that you cannot reach or acquire by spending money. ولا بالجنود والخدم, nor can you acquire it by having soldiers and staff and maids. ولا بالأولاد, nor by having children. ولا بالنفوس والأرواح, nor can you acquire it by sacrificing souls and bodies and people. ولا يتقرب إليها بشيء أصلا سوى الإيمان والعمل الصالح. Nothing actually will bring you near except two things: having iman and righteous deeds. Those are the only things that will help you get to this lofty destination. Any type of connection you have is going to go zibung bang, wow, when you wait for it the most. وأما الذين فسقوا فمأواهم النار أي مقرهم ومحل خلودهم النار نسأل الله العافية. As for those who were defiantly disobedient, their refuge is the fire. The Shaykh said, meaning their place where they will reside and stay eternally will be the fire. التي جمعت كل عذاب وشقاء, the one that has combined every type of torment and wretchedness. ولا يفتر عنهم العقاب ساعة. الله أكبر. صلى الله العافية. And the punishment will not be reduced, not even an hour. The punishment is not even reduced, not even an hour. كلما أرادوا أن يخرجوا منها أعيدوا فيها. Every time they want to exit, they are brought back in. They are returned. فكلما حدثتهم إرادتهم بالخروج لبلوغ العذاب منهم كل مبلغ. Every time their wills, their intents tell them that they should get out because the punishment has overcome them from every angle. ردوا إليها, they will be returned back to it. فذهب عنهم روح ذلك الفرج. So even that feeling of being freed goes away from them. واشتد عليهم الكرب, and so now the stress and the anxiety now becomes even stronger. وقيل لهم ذوقوا عذاب النار التي كنتم بها تكذبون, and it will be said to them, taste the punishment of the fire which you used to deny. We've been telling people for a minute, man, don't deny, don't slander. The fire is no joke. Don't be making memes of Muslims where you lie and joke and you draw. Memes where you draw. There's no difference of opinion among the scholars that drawing is haram. If you're drawing animate objects, soul possessors, it's haram. Joking to make the people laugh. The Prophet ﷺ said, woe to him, woe to him, woe to him, the one who jokes to make people laugh by lying. It's not about just joking, it's by lying. I missed part of the hadith. How many people, they invent a lie to make people laugh. And this is now called da'wah. This is standard da'wah procedure. Memes. Memes that contain lies, exaggerations, slander, drawings, all of which are haram. Somebody literally doing 5 haram things to justify a so-called halal, and there's nothing halal in what they're doing, and they tell you that they are callers to Islam and that they fear Allah when it comes to those matters. Nah, I'm sorry, it's not happening. طيب, ayah number 21, it reads, وَلَنُذِيقَنَّهُمْ مِنَ الْعَذَابِ الْأَدْنَى دُونَ الْعَذَابِ الْأَكْبَرِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. And we will surely let them taste the nearer punishment, like disasters, calamities, short of the greater punishment, that perhaps they will return. أي وَلَنُذِيقَنَّ الْفَاسِقِينَ الْمُكَذِّبِينَ نَمُوذَجًا مِنَ الْعَذَابِ الْأَدْنَى. So we shall make the lying, the defiantly disobedient liars a sample of the lesser punishment. وهو عذاب البرزخ. من العذاب الأدنى, the nearer, the Shaykh said, وهو عذاب البرزخ, and that is the punishment of the interval life. فنذيقهم طرفا منه قبل أن يموتوا. So we will make them taste part of it before they die. إما بعذاب بالقتل ونحوه كما جرى لأهل بدر من المشركين, such as the torment of being killed, such as what happened to the people of Badr from among the polytheists. وإما عند الموت, or either at the time of death, كما في قوله تعالى, such as in the statement of Allah, ولو ترى إذ الظالمون في غمرات الموت. If you could only see while the wrongdoers are in the pangs of death. وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ بَاسِطُوا أَيْدِيهِمْ, and the angels have their hands stretched out. أَخْرِجُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ, bring yourselves out. الْيَوْمَ تُجْزَوْنَ عَذَابَ الْهُونِ, today you will be compensated with the humiliating punishment. ثُمَّ يُكَمِّلُ لَهُمُ الْعَذَابُ الْأَدْنَى فِي بَرْزَخِهِمْ, then Allah will complete for them that nearer punishment in their barzakh, in their interval life. وهذه الآية من الأدلة على إثبات عذاب القبر. This is one of the ayat which we could use to confirm the punishment of the grave. وَدَلَالَتُهَا ظَاهِرَةً, its relationship or its application to the ruling is clear. فإنه قال وَلَنُذِيقَنَّهُمْ مِنَ الْعَذَابِ الْأَدْنَى, أي بعض وجزء منه. So we will make him taste the nearer punishment. So that is part of it, a portion of it. فدل على أن ثم عذابا أدنى قبل العذاب الأكبر. So it indicates that there's a smaller punishment or a nearer punishment before the greater punishment. وهو عذاب النار, and that is the punishment of the fire. ولما كانت الإذاقة من العذاب الأدنى في الدنيا قد لا يتصل بها الموت, and when tasting the nearer punishment in the dunya may not be connected to death, فأخبر تعالى أنه يذيقهم ذلك. So Allah told us that He will make him taste that. لعلهم يرجعون إليه, perhaps they will return to Him. ويتوبون من ذنوبهم, and they will repent from their sins. كما قال تعالى ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون. Corruption has appeared in the sea, in the land and in the sea, because of what the hands of the people have earned, so that He may make them taste some of what they have done. Perhaps they will return. ومن أظلم ممن ذكر بآيات ربه ثم أعرض عنها إنا من المجرمين منتقمون. And who is more unjust than one who is reminded of the verses of his Lord, then he turns away from them? Indeed, we from the criminals will take retribution. أي لا أحد أظلم وأزيد تعديا ممن ذكر بآيات ربه. No one is more oppressive and transgressive than the one who was reminded with the signs of his Lord. التي أوصلها إليه ربه, the one that his Lord delivered to him. الذي يريد تربيته وتكميل نعمته عليه على يد رسله, the one who wants to complete his upbringing and his nurturing, and he wants to complete his favor upon him that he has sent through his messengers. تأمره وتذكره مصالحه الدنيوية الدينية والدنيوية. It commands him and reminds him of his religious and worldly benefits. وَتَنْهَاهُ عَنْ مَضَارِّهِ الدِّينِيَّةِ وَالدُّنْيَوِيَّةِ, and it prohibits him from the religious and the worldly harms. والتي تقتضي أن يقابلها بالإيمان والتسليم والإنقياد والشكر, and the one which necessitates that he treats it, he accepts it, he reciprocates it with belief and submission, compliance and gratitude. فقابل هذا الظالم بضد ما ينبغي. This oppressor, he met that, he reciprocated that bounty of Allah with the opposite of what is expected. فلم يؤمن بها ولا اتبعها. He neither believed in it nor did he follow it. بل أعرض عنها وتركها وراء ظهره. Rather, he turned away from it and he left it behind his back. فهذا من أكبر المجرمين. This is among the greatest criminals. الذين يستحقون شديد النقمة, the one who deserve the greatest type of torment or punishment. ولهذا قال إنا من المجرمين منتقمون. Verily, we will take our revenge from the criminals. So inshallah, with this I will stop. And we will begin the discussion on ayah number 23 insha'Allah ta'ala next week. Let's go to this. Let's go to this. Oh wow. Unable to connect chat. The chat died. My chat never reconnected. Papa chat. I think I got it figured out. Or did I? Alright, let's see. Why is the background a jail cell? We didn't see it as a jail cell, akhi. I guess each comments based on his experience. Yeah. Alright, what's going on here? It's frozen. Yeah, people were talking about the chat freezing. No problem. Alright. Why is this? Here we are. Alright, buddies. Ustad, how should a Muslim adult male look after and take care of his family members who are living together with him in the same house, and how can he make himself and everyone in his home obey Allah? You go refer to my what was that thing? The Muslim household. We have a playlist on our channel called The Muslim Household, which we had with Kalima a few years ago during Corona. Please refer to that series. You shall find your answers over there, inshallah. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullah. Regardless of working in a corporate or being surrounded by family members who've less Islam knowledge, sometimes it's mandatory to avoid two handshake with non-mahram, right? Please clarify. I don't even know. Wa alaikum salam. You're supposed to just not have a handshake with a woman. That's what's right. If one of us falls short for whatever circumstance, repent to Allah Azza wa Jal. And don't tell the whole world about it. Was watching Khidr's old vlogs. One of the vlogs, you visited Malaysia, you had a pink tin of healthy brownies. It would be nice if you share the ingredients Wild Friends Peanut Butter Vlog. Oh yeah. Yeah, well, I don't have my my wife, mashallah tabarakallah zalla khairan, she's come up with a bunch of amazing recipes that she herself cannot. We have it. Usually she does something and then sometimes we can't replicate it. Maybe this one we can. I think the person sent an email to One Way to Paradise. One Way to Fitness? I don't know what you're saying. طيب. Salam akhi wa alaikum salam. I'm 17. I'm Wajdi. Nice to meet you. And it's a habit to urinate before making wudu and praying. So while praying, I don't feel discomfort. But for the past week, after I urinate, I make wudu. Okay, where am I going to find 2 out of... Then I'm certain urine drop comes out. I change them, I make wudu, same thing happen, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is, akhi, Allah yahdeek wa yuslihak. Don't pee before the salah. Don't urinate immediately before the salah, before the wudu. Urinate 10, 15, 20 minutes before. Then when the salah time comes, just make wudu and keep moving. Is it part of generosity that you buy food for yourself and then give it to someone else you see? This will result in you not having any food? It could be, yeah. I hope you won't die as a result of that. How are you and fam? Alhamdulillah, wa alaikum salam, ya Binyamin. If a woman gives birth out of wedlock, what should the child's last name? Because the child has no relationship with the father out of wedlock. He's named after his mom. Thoughts on teaching our families and kids the realities of how today's politics, system and government works. If you know about it, but is that beneficial knowledge for them? I don't know. Depends on the family. Wa alaikum salam, Mr. Haich. What is the position of the hadith books? Are they fully wahi or just contain wahi? And is the sunnah preserved? Yes, akhi, the sunnah is preserved. And part of the preservation of the sunnah is that we can differentiate between a sahih hadith and a da'if hadith, or a mawdu' hadith, or muttarib, or ila akhiri. It's part of the preservation. And yes, the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is wahi from Allah. وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. He does not speak of his own desire. It's only revelation be given to him. وَمَا أَتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ. Whatever the messenger gives you, وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. Whatever he forbids you, stay away from it. Of course, it's a revelation, but it requires verification. It's a revelation that requires an additional layer of verification. Miss Mizzy, Assalamu alaikum Ustad wa alaikum salam. How to advise a friend who walks outside with sandals exposing feet? I'm guessing it's a lady. Not sure if I should advise because I don't know if she follows a different madhab. Zakallah khair. There's no madhab that allows a woman to show her feet. There is no madhab that allows a woman to show her feet and wear sandals. So you don't have to worry about the madhab. You need to advise her to fear Allah Azza wa Jal, because it is not allowed for a woman to show any part of her skin, except, according to some scholars, the hands and the face. That's it. According to others, even those may not be shown, let alone the feet. Wa alaikum salam, Muhammad. Are there situations where voting in a kuffar country becomes obligatory? Some of the scholars believe or are of the opinion that it might be in certain circumstances, but that's a very dedicated, specific fatwa that is issued to specific people during specific times, and it's not a general fatwa that applies to everybody. For the rest of the Muslims, it's haram for you to be involved in any type of voting. For democratic voting and things of this nature. Naam. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. May Allah bless you. Ameen wa iyyakum ya masroor. I started praying Dhuhr before it was time and finished after the time of Dhuhr started. I started this after praying Asr. When the time, I realized this after praying Asr when it was time for Asr. I don't know what the rest of the question is. You have to repeat Dhuhr and Asr. Is it considered a problem if people enjoy listening to reminder lectures but don't want to participate in actively seeking knowledge, but inactively it should be separated. With books, teachers, what are the issues with just reminders? Well, reminders is like you running a marathon and you're malnutritioned and someone gives you a tiny little cup of water while you really need is a lot of energy and calories stored for you to complete the marathon. So you should have eaten properly, prepared, had enough carbs that will enable you to burn energy for a long time. Instead, you were fasting 2 days before the marathon, and now that you're dying from thirst, somebody gives you a tiny little bit of water that is not going to fulfill the goal and objective, is not going to fix you up, it's not going to get you on track. So this is the similarity between that and those reminders which boost your iman, but then once the boost goes away, you're back to square one. Why? You don't have knowledge that will elevate you and raise you from where you are. Now, petrol money, is that how you make your money? From petrol? Why do the Tablighi sect make Islam all about their methods when they literally didn't exist a decade ago? My grandma, rahimahullah, is older than the sect. They never speak on usul and knowledge. Well, that's a good question that you should ask the Tablighis. يقول السائل Allah يهديك ya pursue excellence. Are you making me feel like we're إذاعة القرآن الكريم والشيخ الفوزان? Which qari do you listen to the most? It has to be Minshawi and Abdul Basit and Mu'aygli and Khalid al-Qahtani. I think Faisal Ghazawi. I don't copy anyone. I'm not able to copy anyone. I'm bad in my own recitation. I'm worse in copying a person with a proper recitation. So whatever you heard from me is my own ijtihad. I don't even know who Faisal Ghazawi is. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our local masjid sheikh of our masjid was saying that all evil stems from Najd, insinuating Shaykh Muhammad al-Wahhab. What to do, barakallah feek? Watch my lecture, The Horn of Satan, Wahhabism, and watch how I refuted this bogus ideology that your sheikh or that local sheikh has mentioned. While also teaching them Islam stands to khuruj. Yeah, you can, Azim. If you want to teach them about politics and then warn them against its dangers, Jazakallah khair. Uncle bro, why your Malaysian trip vlogs weren't released? Khidr still editing. Who won the paintball? Oh, it was a terrible job done this last time around. Khidr was not available most of the time, even though I brought him 2 extra phones from Samsung phones that I use as spare. He had all the equipment, but still those vlogs never saw the light for whatever reason. The paintball turned out ugly because these shabab had little concern about others' well-being, so they were shooting from close proximity, afflicting major damage on others. And even when someone surrendered because the game was over, they shot that person after he surrendered. It was pretty pathetic, and they all got lectured for their misbehavior. Is yoga permissible? No. Are women allowed to play sports at a national level? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If they fulfill the conditions of the hijab, really? Really? How in the world is a sister gonna play any sport while fulfilling the conditions of the hijab? You know that the hijab is gonna be, she's gonna be wearing like a khimar and a jilbab that completely doesn't even show her shoulders. It doesn't even show her shoulders form. It's like a tent. She's supposed to look like a tent, more or less. How is that gonna happen and play any type of sport on planet Earth? Those hijabi sisters, Jazakumullah khair, yani alhamdulillah, at least they're keen on wearing the hijab. But it doesn't make what's wrong right. The fact that they are Muslim sisters who are actually wearing the hijab while engaging in sports, they're better than the ones who are not wearing hijab in the first place. But they're all bad, and we cannot lie. We cannot say, oh brother, take it easy on them, at least they're wearing the hijab. Yeah, she's wearing the hijab and doing all, she's sitting there playing in front of hundreds, thousands of men who you don't think they're gonna like a hijabi. Don't you think like a man who may not be very wicked and is not very righteous, would he not prefer a hijabi woman over a non-hijabi? Of course. So the hijabi woman may even get more looks than the non-hijabi one, because brother said, mashallah, wallah, at least she wears the hijab. al-'iyal. al-'iyal. Ma, yani the men are, plus you think the men are going to be looking at her hair? Huh? You think a sister's going to be doing like wrestling or any of these crazy sports that they do, and anybody's going to even be bothered about what her hair looks like? You think when women are doing marathons or sprint, the 100-meter dash or the 200-meter dash, or that, what do you call that, pole jumping or anything, do you think anybody is looking at what these women are wearing at their head? Come on, man. Everybody's checking everything out. They're checking everything else out. Even a hijabi. Because her body parts are still going to be floppering around and moving around, and they're going to be visible to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. What do I think about the Muslim lantern? I don't think anything about it. I don't have any thoughts about it. I don't know enough about it. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. Head is clear like a crystal. What are the etiquettes to be in a mixed chat? Just like one below. How to behave, what to say, and what to avoid. Just, this is not... modesty is required in everything, and this is not a private chat between any two people. This is a public chat. So if the brothers and sisters have some sort of back and forth respectfully for a matter related to knowledge, that's completely fine. No joking around, no flirting, no flirtatious speech. Come on, everybody knows. I don't gotta break it down for you guys. Is it okay to tell a joke that's untrue but obviously sarcasm? Example, if someone asks you where you parked the car and you say in the bathroom. Everyone knows you're kidding without you saying it. Oh. Nah, I would that's tricky, bro. That is tricky. I don't know. We already answered that. Does smelling fragrance you apply to yourself break one fasting? No. For Ashura, the only prescribed deed is fasting, and any other deed singled out specifically for the day of Ashura is not correct. Is this right? Yes, this is right. Which operating system on your PC do I use? Windows 11 Pro. Yeah, I think we're done for the day, guys. I think we're done for the day. Do I know any book about their companions? Yes. Our brother Umar Shatila just released and published a book on Amazon about the companions of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam. I don't know how to find it for you right now. Tweet me and I will tweet you back the answer, inshallah. I'll tweet you the link for the book. Maybe we have it. Yeah, guys. Does anyone know if the Quran Mufti Meng promoted on his Twitter is permissible, considering the fact that there's no Arabic text? I would say anything that Mufti Meng promotes, stay away from it. Anything that Mufti Meng promotes, stay away from it. I would not trust that for a second. Alright, Akhwan, we'll catch you tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala, for our Arba'in Nawawiyya class. Jazakumullahu khairan. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.